What up, y'all? This is Brandon Williams here with amazing guests here for Two Lost Conversations. We got the one and only Marlon Funaki here with us, man. And really, really excited to have you here, brother. How you feeling?
Good, man. Good. Ready to get this thing on the road. Lots of pre-gaming for a tour we got coming up. So, kind of mentally and physically distorted in a sense, but excited. Mainly,
Hey,
busy, good busy.
that's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, man. I'm so excited, bro. Like that road life is crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's a grind, man. And I think that stuff I've seen, I'm so excited to get into it, man. But where you calling from specifically, so you can let the people know. Where are
There,
you calling?
right now, I'm in the Redlands, California area, Highland, California. You could say it's a little mixture of the both. I'm like right on that fine line. So.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we were talking a little bit before, but I would love, just to give the folks the background of your come up, man. Obviously we talked about you from Rancho, but like what brought you to that area, kind of the upbringing, what was kind of those early inspirations? Tell us a little bit about like just, the come up, man, and just how you got out there. Cause a lot of people don't know I'm from LA and Redlands is kind of like Rancho, i.e., it's like the other part, you know what I mean? But there's so much space and talent and beautiful country land and peacefulness, and people really don't realize how gorgeous it is out there.
Yeah, man. No, it's definitely geographically beautiful. I mean, the Rancho Cucamonga, even when I was living there, was more, I don't want to say industrial, but it was a lot more compacted with people. And I'm sure it's even way bigger now. I want to say I left about 11, 12 years ago now. So I'm sure it's just grown, population wise. But yeah, coming out here to Redlands, is it's beautiful out here. I mean, they have downtown historic Redlands, so bunch of cool, places to see, good people. So, but yeah, man, born and raised in Rancho Cucamonga, moved out here when I was, I can't remember if it was sixth or seventh grade, but around that age. Moved out here, been living here ever since, and love the city. No really plans on moving time soon, but who knows what the world will throw in my hands. So
Yeah, and I'm curious about that because from a creative standpoint, I feel like a lot of your creative process, even the videos and content you make, like one of my favorite videos you have, is like the rock, and you're in this bridge and you push the rock over. How much of that, living in that rural area, being kind of out of the way, informs some of your creativity, your writing style? Does it impact that? Do you feel like your creative process is led a lot by being out there and kind of having that, kind of like out of the way, out of the cut kind of experience, or do you feel like it doesn't really change much?
I feel like with anyone geographically, wherever you're located, you kind of pick up little things here and there, kind of based on experiences of people you hang out with, or, like the locations that you like to chill, or, things like that. I would say, if I was in a more kind of, I guess, crowded, populated area, I guess that would definitely impact my music writing. But when I'm in my little studio, it feels really it's a small room, but it's in an open kind of land, open area. So it feels like I'm kind of like meditating almost. I don't hear cars, I don't hear things that so it definitely impacts my writing, I would say.
And I was gonna say, man, speaking of that, like I kind of talked a little bit about it when we were chatting a little bit. Some of my favorite content pieces are the stuff you did, like the Venice Canal stuff. Like, where do those ideas come from? And I noticed too, like you'll be with your band in that room. Is that room like your creative space? Is that where you record? Is that where you write some of your songs? Like, how does your like creative process work? Like from a content perspective, and then the jam stuff that I see on your social media.
No, absolutely. The content, I mean, it definitely comes big help from my buddies, like my buddy Mikey, he's a videographer. I shot with this guy named Justin Hoyos. Amazing. That's the one I'm not sure if you saw, but we were like in the Malibu Canyon, and then it was actually the Long Beach port. That's where we kind of shot that one with the boat. Yeah, I mean, like, without the help of my buddy Holden, who had that little boat, that little thing might have not been possible. So I want to say I reach out to friends for, kind of creative ideas or, spots that they know, or, I always hit them up. I'm always open for that. So, my buddy Holden was like, dude, yeah, like I live 5 minutes from the Long Beach port. I got a small little boat. Like we can somehow record something on there. And I was like, dude, that's gorgeous. I saw a Chili Pepper video, or a while back when I was growing up, and I'm not sure it was Ketis and
What video is that?
where they shot that video, but it was kind of similar in the sense of, it was just like these two guys acoustically playing, their hit songs, and I was like, man, there's such beauty in that simplicity, like you don't gotta be crazy, a crazy spot for a good piece of content. I really think it's just one, like how the audio sounds. If you got like birds and seagulls in the background, I think that's super sick. And then two, like just shot on camera. Make sure it's just nice and aesthetically looking as far as where you're placed, and I think you got a good video.
Yeah, man. I think you have that's the thing I love about your music, but also I love about how you shoot, man. It's like it's very crispy, it's straight to the point. A lot of your videos are very epic but simple. You know what I mean? And you kind of touched on it. I guess is Red Hot Chili Peppers. Maybe you got the shirt on, so I'm assuming is that one of your bigger influences, like musically or stylistically? Where do you get some of those inspirations musically? Because I mean, your sound sonically to me, it's like it's so interesting because I feel like it has folk. It's got a little Tame Impala stuff going on. You got a little psychedelic
Yes,
rock.
sir.
It's a lot going on, and I really like it. But I was interested, where are your influences?
No, absolutely, and I appreciate that, man. I would say that they really vary, dude. Red Hot Chili Peppers for sure. When I was, a younger cat growing up, they were like the bigger name that I kind of found out about through my dad, and I mean, fell in love with just their history. Like with their. Don't quote me on this, but their original guitarist Hillel Slovak was in the band, and these kids were like 17, 16-year olds. Unfortunately, he passed away, and then John Frusciante is my idol guitarist, and he's in the band now. And I mean, just their history, their story of how they came up, just it definitely intrigued me. Not necessarily like me wanting to be a musician at the time, but just the history of that, like the documentary and all that. That's kind of how I got locked in with like the music side of, that little part. But I mean, dude, inspirations can really go from anything as broad as, like 60s, 70s Afro funk soul, you know, like rap. I'm not sure if you've heard like the Delphonics.
Of course, come on now.
And then, with my mom being in the house as well, she never really listened to like the radio side of like, Spanish Latino music. It was always like a Spanish rock or like some sort of, like pop Spanish. So, it varies, man. I love all types of music. I think all types of music can teach the musician something, whether, it's a bass line that you've never heard, a rhythm on a drum set that you've never heard. So, I've never really been like tunnel visioned into one genre, just because I feel like there's so much to learn from creatives that have put out their work to the world. So, yeah, I mean, dude, the inspirations are very, very, very broad. Very, very.
I love that. I love that. And you kind of spoke on it a little bit, and I think it's an interesting part when you talked about, your family dynamic, right? Like your mother, I'm assuming is a Latina, and then your father is Japanese, right? I'm assuming, right? Like coming up in LA, and coming up in California, that sort of identity is tough for some people because they're like, dude, like, you already know, like it's in California, it's a very not segregated, but it's a very specific traditional kind of experience where you're in this group, you run with these
Yep.
people. Did that ever mess you up? Did it like, because you're getting all these different inspirations musically, did that affect like you coming up as a young artist and trying to perform to one specific type of audience? Even I saw a video of you at the Echo. Is that ever coming up?
Oh, absolutely, man. I think, it was a challenge in a sense, but I think I mainly embraced it. It's kind of a rare, I guess, pair of ethnicities, and you don't really see too many, Japanese Latinos out there. So I always thought like at first, like, whoa, like that's a kind of a crazy mix. But and I was like, man, I was like, damn, that's really cool. I'm in love with my last name. I've always thought it was a really cool last name. I was like, dude, I was thinking about band names or like artist names. I was like, try to figure out some sort of name. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna keep my name.
I love that.
Yeah, and then like, when it kind of ties down to like the style I wear, a lot of people think I dress kind of like a cowboy of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in a way, yes. But growing up in that Hispanic background, I had, grandparents and grandfathers who dressed as like vaqueros, which is like a Mexican style of cowboy. And I've always loved that style. Always loved that style. And I kind of picked that up and started performing with that live, kind of not really thinking anything about it. But I think people have kind of portrayed that image of me now, like when they see me on stage, and now I love, the style of the outfit. So that's kind of what I've just kept.
I love it, man. It's so iconic. It's iconic look, bro. Like you have a very iconic aesthetic, and it really informs like the styles of your music. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but I would love to get like your perspective of playing shows. I mean, you're right now. You're about to start touring, or you've played some shows with Sundriver. How did you guys meet? Like, what is that going on? Obviously, your tour. You're about to go headline and play with this gentleman. Like, how are you feeling about it? First of all, coming off all the success of the records, and then also how'd you guys connect? How'd you guys meet?
No, absolutely. I mean, I definitely have to give credit to, my agency. I was blessed enough in 2024 to sign to an agency called CAA, which is Creative Artist Agency, and they're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And they help me book all my shows and things like that. And I mean, just that in itself is such a weight off my shoulders, on top of trying to make the music, create the music, post the content, do, that there and there. I had to try to look for shows and book these shows, which is the hustle of that kind of like that young artist. I definitely learned that the hard way by booking these shows for almost about a year and a half. And then, like I said, getting signed to this agency was like,
Can you talk about that real quick? Like, how was that process? Like, what was the lead up time for getting signed to the agent? You talked about it a little bit, but was it like, did you send them an email? Was it building a press kit? Because a lot of artists don't know how it works. Like, people think like I can just get connected with somebody and then I'm signed to CAA or WME. Like, what was like? How did you even get to that point?
no, absolutely. At the time, there were, we had already been playing these shows, and there was, I guess, talk about the project. Not really so like heavily interested agencies or like record labels, and I mean, there was talk about my name and this and that, and at the time, it was like not like a slow month statistically or anything like that, but just we had played this one specific venue. It was I want to say it was our second or third time playing, and I almost didn't even pick up this show. And we were opening up for an artist, and we played the show. It was great. We played our heart out. So I always tell these guys, play your hearts out. But there's this guy sitting at the bar, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get myself a beer. Whatever, I get myself a beer, and then he's like, what's up, man? Like, your set was fantastic. Like, it was great. And I was like, I appreciate it, man. Like, thank you, thank you. I was like, did you come for me? He's like, no, like, I just found you here today. Like, we were surfing and we stopped by to hear the music. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I was like, what's your name? He's like, my name's Billy. And I was like, cool. I was like, I noticed you have an accent. It was like kind of like a Southern accent. Yeah, man. He's like, I'm on tour right now. I just played down in Temecula. And I was like, oh, cool, man. I was like, I'm going to have to look up your stuff, look up your music. He's like, yeah, I already DM'd you on Instagram. So just, respond to me or hit me up whenever. And I was like, cool. So the night went on, whatever. I don't check my phone after shows. I kind of just put the phone aside and convert.
Decompress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And then next day I go to my DMs and I see this guy Billy Currington. He had the blue check mark, so I checked his Instagram, and he had a couple 100,000 followers, and I was like, man, this dude's legit. So I checked out his portfolio, and as soon as I clicked on his Spotify, the first 5 songs I knew, and I was like, no way, man. I just ran into this dude, and I felt kind of bad because I couldn't pair the face with the music. And I kind of, in a sense, like, I don't want to say blew him off, but I didn't really know at the time his face, like who he was. And I was like, I DM'd him right away, and I was like, man, Billy, like, dude, it was, crazy meeting you. And one of the most humblest, nicest dudes you ever meet, man. I was actually in Nashville later on in that year, and he was in Nashville too. And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm about to go meet up with my agency. Would you want to meet up? I can up and we can go just say what's up to these people." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure, man." So he picked me up. We went in. We said hi to the office and did all that cool stuff. And I mean, essentially, I want to say I got tapped in like that because the time went on and they kind of I want to say they kind of watched to see what I was doing, to see how what content I was putting out, this and that, if I was still playing shows. And I want to say about 5 to 6 months later they officially reached out and asked if I wanted to jump on the roster. So I mean, there was a lot of agencies that I talked to. That one just felt right. I mean, the team, the people behind the screens were just amazing people. And before I even knew it, they were on it. They got to work. They started booking me these shows, doing these things, and getting me on shows I would have never even really thought of. So, yeah, that's kind of how I got tapped in with that agency. I know I kind of rambled on for a little bit, but
No, no, I think it's important because I want you to get into like how you got on with Sundriver, but like I think it's so important because people don't understand the process as an artist. They don't realize there's like, there's these chances. You play a bunch of gigs, you gig forever until you have the perfect show, or not even the perfect show. It could be just some chance happening of somebody walking past, connects, you follow up with that person, you do your due diligence, and it leads you to somewhere else. And I think a lot of times, like you said, the key thing that I love that you said was you're like, I tell all my bandmates to play their heart out every show. So it's like, no matter if it's 10, 5, 100,000, you play like there's millions of people because you just don't know who's in the audience. And it might be that one person that's going to introduce you to the next person. It's going to, you know what I mean? You just don't know. And I think that part of you telling the story like that is important because a lot of people, man, people don't realize playing shows and live performances. And that's one of the things I noticed about you as an artist. Your live shows, I've never been to your live show, and I want to definitely, everybody should attend. He's on tour, or like if you're in San Diego or any of the spots he's playing in, make sure you check him out. But like, the thing with your live shows and your live performances is you just give your all to, you could tell, like you leave it there. Like it's that you give your all, you perform, you show up, you're on point. And I think it's just so important, man, because live performances, they're not looked at like they used to be in back in the day, right? And gigging is so much harder. It's so much harder of a grind than it used to be as well.
oh, for sure. And I mean, it kind of goes back into I've had a couple interviews before, and kind of similar question. How did you kind of get to where you are? And there's a bunch of bands that I grew up in the scene with. And I always tell these guys, like, I'm still no in my eyes, I'm like, not no one yet. You know what I'm saying? But it takes every little opportunity and chance that you can get your hands on, whether, like I said, that's a cafe where you're kind of almost in a busking sense, or if you get offered an opportunity for an arena, take every single chance because you never know. And that kind of goes into play like that first year and a half, 2 years. I mean, dude, we were playing shows after shows, man. I mean, for little to no money, and at the time, bandmates like, hey, like, in a sense, like, trust the process, like, just trust. Let's just take these gigs. Let's see what comes out of them. And like I said, take every opportunity you can. And I can say that for any artist that's trying to get their name out there is, whether, like I said, it's a cafe, a bar, or, a theater or an arena or whatever, like, take the chance. Just play the gig, just play. So, yeah, I mean, and it definitely, if, we hadn't taken that chance of playing all those gigs, I definitely, think I probably wouldn't even be here today. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Like, has it been important for you to stay independent? Like, continue to like keep that independence for yourself? Because like you said, you had to, which I think a lot of is another key point is like you had to sell the dream almost to your band base to be like, look, it's gonna be a grind, but we're gonna get something at some point, and this is gonna make sense. So like, has it been important for you to hold out on your, masters, keep it on your, you as an artist, or has it been kind of like, hey, like if the opportunity makes sense, I'm willing to do it? Or is it like you just want to keep your independence as an artist?
No, absolutely. I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both. Like you said, if the opportunity does arise and it makes sense, and whether that's me kind of forking out a little bit of money for the project to drastically increase, I definitely think it's worth it. But it also ties down to, I kind of, with a very small crew, kind of got to where I'm at now. It's like, man, the possibilities are endless. Like the possibilities are endless. Like, what else can we do with just this team of, 6, 7 people? So it's like beautiful thing. I mean, it's like I said, I'm blessed to have my bandmates, my manager, my agency, these people surrounded that are just such positive people that kind of, get me up off my butt and say, hey, you gotta post that, or you gotta do that 8-10 hour drive to play that show out. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I got a really good team. And I think that's crucial for any artist, man. You can't do everything by yourself. You got to have people that are going to help you. I think because it's too much for someone by themselves to do everything. I think they just might go crazy. I think keeping your team small, keeping them close, and almost kind of considering them family at that point, and kind of riding with that. So I think that's crucial for sure.
And I think one of the things that I love about, what I've seen, just like checking you out and just supporting you too, is like I told you before our call, like I got on to, I followed you, but I also got into your text message, SMS stuff. How important has it been as the grind? Because now, I check, you got radio play, you hit, 3 million plays on 2 songs, you've had some success here. Like, how much has it been important for you to kind of keep that community, and what has been sort of the strategy about that? Is it just the SMS stuff? Do you have like Discord? What are the ways are you building your fan community and your core audience?
Without their fans, they're nothing. So I think the community is the biggest part of the project, whether that's responding to every DM that you can, or responding to every comment that you can, or sending out that text message, or even like I still pack my own merch and ship it out, and I try to sign every record, everything like that. I was putting notes in these shipments, and handwritten notes saying thank you, to all the people who have, are spending their hard-earned money, either to listen to my live performance, or even buy a t-shirt. I think the community is the biggest part. You have to stay tapped into the people who are, supporting your dream, essentially. So I think that's the biggest part for sure.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, how do you stay humble, brother? Because I mean, I saw you have 3 million streams on One Sunday Comes Around, which is one of my favorite records. You got a bunch of other streams happening. How do you stay grounded? Because it's like, from like listening to the Universal Language EP from where you're at now, the growth as an artist, you already know, is huge. Like, you could see the way you perform has gotten better, your confidence, the writing, everything is better. And with all the success, like you said, how do you remain just like, hey man, like my team, how do you remain humble? Because I think a lot of artists, they start having these huge wins, and then it becomes disillusioned. Like they start feeling like, oh, I deserve this, I should have this, or this should happen, or I should have this. Like, how do you remain humble?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember there was this thing my mom said, at first, and she said, "Don't ever let your head explode." And I really take, my family's thoughts or comments, to my soul. They're the people that raised me and I grew up with, and we didn't really come from much, man. I mean, we grew up, a 6-part family in a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was tight. It was tight, and there was times where, we had to eat, sliced cheese and white bread sandwiches, so everything that I have now is is like a blessing, a dream to me. Like, I would have never thought, this would even be possible. People actually paying money to travel 6.5 hours, or to even pay for a flight to come to my show, is surreal to me. So I mean, like, it's in a sense, it's almost like, man, I'm so blessed. It's so crazy that, like, I feel like I'm gonna pinch myself one day and I'm just gonna wake up. So, that's the thing. It's like, like I said, without your fans, you're nothing. So I think remaining, humble is so crucial to, keep the wheels moving on your business, because this is essentially my business. So
Yeah.
I think that's like shoveling the coal in the cockpit. So I think that's what kind of is got me to where I am, and thankfully, hopefully, it expel me to the next level. So
Oh, it is, man. It is, man. Because like I said, man, I'm a fan, and I feel like just seeing you outside in and now meeting you, you just have a aura of just still and calmness that you just know, like, all right, this is what I got to do, and I think that's really important because it gets noisy, especially on the road. It's a lot going on, so remaining grounded in that way. So yeah, man. I mean, I definitely want to talk about. I know, like we talked about a little bit. Tell me about this tour, how many dates people might not know, and then what do you have in the future? Like, what's coming along? Do we have a new project? I know we haven't got we got some new music, some singles, but we haven't got a new album for a minute. So I'm curious, like, do we have it? Are we doing tour? We got flags, we got a lot going on. Like, what is on the horizon for you, my brother?
yeah, for sure, man. I mean, coming up, actually, starting tomorrow, we're gonna be on the road. So that's first things first. Kind of when it comes to my to do list of what things I gotta check off. Is the tour, which is gonna be, I'm hoping, so fun because we haven't been on the road in a while. So I know all of us are kind of itching to get back on that stage and under those lights. You know what I'm saying. So that's gonna be the tour. It's 9 shows total. It's about a time frame of roughly 3 weeks, so almost a month in total. So it's gonna be the biggest one that we've ever driven slash done. So it's definitely gonna be a test, I think, to all of us. Is how can we improve, or what are some things that we did really well that are gonna work for these upcoming and next tours, for the future. So it's going to be a learning experience. It's going to go great. I think we're prepared. I think we've practiced. And I think it's going to be a great time. I think it's going to be a great time. As far as the music, I'm sitting on some stuff right now. There's things that haven't been quite finished yet, but we're hoping to get an EP out by around February, March of next year, and that's gonna be about, I want to say, 6 to 7 songs of some new stuff that I've been working on. And no, it's
I'm excited, bro.
yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. It's
I know fans are fiending because Under Fire is like, I know it's you're working that record right now, but bro, if that's what we're getting, Home and Under Fire is like a joint that I play consistently. If it's like in that vein, I'm really excited because the music you've been making for a while, but in these last couple, releases, I've really been tapping into. So I'm really excited to. I'm sure people are bugging you about music, but I'm really excited to hear the new music and stuff.
No, yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's gonna be along that realm of Home and Under Fire. That's kind of the style I've been leaning towards, and I feel comfortable making it. That's kind of where my creative thoughts are at, and it's gonna be some slower, maybe a couple fast songs on there. Kind of bring back the root of the Marlon Funaki project. So that's next on the list after this tour. We have I want to say we have 3 months before we kind of get back on the road in March again. For a tour that I can't really talk on yet. But we'll be on the road again in March. But yeah, so like that kind of time frame from December to March is going to be recording, polishing up, and fine tuning these, this EP. Hopefully by the end of that tour, I'm gonna have a 10 to 15 song album out. So
Awesome, awesome. So y'all heard it first. We getting some music, and we might get a little a secret tour that he doesn't want to announce, and then we're gonna get some more music. I love it, man. Well, I'm like, again, this has been an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed getting to know you. Everybody, make sure you follow my brother. Please tell them everywhere they can find you, social media, everything, so people can know where to get to find you and also get connected with you.
my name is Marlon Funaki, Marlon, last name Funaki. You can spell that out anywhere, and you'll be able to find me. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, the whole shebang. So we got some plans. We got some plans for the upcoming year. So the people who have been following me, stay tapped in. And for the people who are just, now hearing about me, I hope you enjoy. So
There it is. All right, y'all. Well, we'll see you guys again. We appreciate you again, Marlon. And this has been a two lost conversation.
yes, sir, Brandon. Thank you.